Hello, friends. Welcome back to Feni for the Soul for the third and final part of Goa's Feni story. Thank you for the great reception for part one and part two. Very grateful for everyone who watched both those parts. In the first part, you met Bebe Barreto, the award-winning cashew farmer from Kepe. Then you, in the second part, you met Clement DeSylva, the infusion man who's given Goa the Aani Ek brand of fenis. And in this third part, which you are about to see, you will come face to face with Hansel Vaz, the young dynamic entrepreneur who has founded the Cazulo brand of premium fenis. Now, Hansel is also secretary of the Cashew Distillers Association of Goa and is part of that team that worked relentlessly to get the GI tag for cashew feni. So you will see the passion, flowing when you, listen to Hansel.
Hi, Hansel. so this lovely pond and water body. So what Cazulo Feni does is they invite tourists to come and sit in this ambience.
Sit like a batkar.
Sit like a batkar, like what Hansel is. Batkar means, landlord in Konkani. And you sit in this lovely ambience and you sample Cazulo Feni and Goan food and get I'll keep quiet and listen to the natural sounds. So, Hansel, first off, I want to ask you, you are a geologist by training. And so how did you become a Feni distiller?
So, I think a geologist for me was the big learning. I mean, they say the present is the key to the past. And for that, you need a very big, wholesome understanding of what anything is. You're looking at a rock in Goa, and you're trying to figure out on the surface, and you're trying to figure out how it was emplaced, why it was made, and you need to kind of connect those dots. I think that is the big thing. That training was imperative for me to understand this industry. So I am actually right now, 21st century, walking into a Feni distillery, and I'm trying to give you context what makes this spirit so special. What makes this spirit communicate to the consumer. And the big challenge is, today we're sitting in and this is a challenge with all Indian products. Leather sandals in Kolhapur, say some Kanchipuram silk, some people making some bone work in UP, and Feni in Goa. These are traditional crafts. Everyone's been making them for centuries. You know them, I know them, everyone knows them from this culture. How do we make them relevant to the future? How do we communicate that story of that artisanal craft to a modern audience? All that learning came through geology. Simply because you get thrown into the middle of nowhere, middle of Papua New Guinea. I was working in Papua New Guinea, then I was working in the deserts of Australia, then I was working in the middle of the Bass Strait between Antarctica and New Zealand and Australia. So it's in the middle of nowhere. And you're trying to figure out what happened there. And how do you tell that story of that rock? That is what I've done with Feni. All that training somehow suddenly came into play when I fell in love with Feni because it's part of my heritage. And it's one of those things that I said, it was part of the family business, to be honest. It was a family business. We had a brand called Donna Maria, which was running for about 40 years. And then very unceremoniously, I came in with the picture and I said, I'm going to start taking over the business. And everyone laughed at me. They said, what's this guy going to do? Geologist working for a Fortune 15 company, going to give up the job to start a Feni business. I didn't give up the job because somebody has to pay the bills. So my geology career funded it. So I don't advise anybody to tell that beautiful story. I quit my job and came. Don't quit your job. Make sure those fires are still burning, because money is something that you require, especially it needs resource. So money funded my salary, funded my quest for making Feni. But I think the big thing what I did was, when I came to the industry, I realized putting Feni in the bottle and selling it to a lovely person like you is the easiest thing. Telling that story to a modern audience is much tougher. And that's why we are on the fazenda. We choose a beautiful location like this in the distillery. You can come, you understand how Feni is made, why Feni is made this way, what it takes to make a Feni, tell that story. For centuries, this craft was kept custodians by the craftsmen who made them. They never could tell you why, what, how to a modern audience. Whiskey has done that, gin has very well done that, vodkas have done that, the cognacs have done that. We've never done that with Feni. And so what I did was I decoded this, I translated it, I broke it down to a language that a modern audience can understand, and that is what we did. And that's why we drink Feni on the rocks. Okay? And a geologist also love rocks, so cheers to that.
Cheers, Hansel. So Hansel, logically, what does Feni mean to you? Why is it so special, and why are you so passionate about it?
Again, the story was very interesting. I was actually traveling to New Zealand for the first time, and on the way I stopped in Malaysia, and I took you take gifts. I didn't want to carry cashew nuts because you can't carry. I carried a piece of I took a bibinka, and I gifted a bibinka. Typically Goan dessert. I took it to Malaysia, and I remember the Chinese family I was meeting. They looked at me and said, "Oh, bibinka," and they said, "We have them." And so I said, you have it? Okay. They said, "We make bibinka in Malaysia." I was like, "Oh, okay." I said, I quickly put the bibinka back and I gave them a dodol. They're like, "Oh, dodol, we make this here as well." I was like, "What?" So they made it there. So I said, okay, I gave them something else. Okay, I gave them something else. Flew to New Zealand. Sri Lankan family, very kind to me. And my neighbors kind of welcomed me and stuff. So I said, okay, I'll give them the same thing. So I gave them bibinka, and they said, "Oh, we make bibinka." So I gave them dodol. We made it. Suddenly I realized the two quintessential Goan things that we consider Goan are not Goan. They were originally from Southeast Asia, but traveled along the Portuguese trade routes, and so everyone has that. What is quintessentially Goan? And that's when I realized it is Feni. Indigenous product, and I mean, I didn't realize it then, but I kind of saw that. Completely Goan, completely handcrafted in Goa, with Goan acumen, with a quest for flavor. Completely amazing story. A story you'll never see anywhere. And I think that's one of Goa's, probably India's best kept secret, that the world is now beginning to appreciate and discover. And that's where we start the journey.
Wonderful, Hansel. So Hansel, I know that you've been your Cazulo brand is a premium, Feni brand. How difficult is it to sell it pan India? Because I know you are very keen to do that. But what are the stumbling blocks?
So it's very interesting. You said premium brand today. 12 years ago when I started, there was no premium category. There was Feni. Everyone sold Feni. I had to make it premium because in the end, differentiation is very key. And the differentiation we do is we keep our Feni for 1 year, we rest it before we bottle it. That is very, very simple. It's an old age technique which everyone probably does at home, but nobody does it commercially. The second thing I did, I served you good Feni. I'm very particular about the kind of Feni I drink. And very often, sometimes restaurants and people will test me. They send me some Feni, try this and do that. So I'm very particular about the Feni. If I drink the Feni, only then it goes in the bottle. Because my name is on this bottle. And I put my name on the bottle. And everyone was shocked, first time. So why did you put your father's name or grandfather's name? I put my name because I taste every batch. That is key. Now this is what I've done. I created for the first time 12 years ago, I created a category called Premium Feni, which is 1 year rested. The question is now we want to go international. This is the benchmark of what, I want to create a benchmark for what Feni is. But you cannot go internationally with one product only. Right? Cheap Feni, premium Feni. You have to create levels. You have to create layers. Upwards and as well as horizontally. So the first thing that is now, if you look at the market today, you have more brands. When I started, there were just 2 brands of, we were the only premium Feni. Today there are at least about 8 or 9 premium Fenis. And that is the first step which I had planned about 12 years ago. We need to create an ecosystem of a good standard market, not the low standard market, but a good standard market that is now appreciable to a lot of good palates. Why? This is very important. We are drinking a 450-year-old spirit that we have recorded. If you look at the distilling apparatus, a lot of it is, what we have is what we have managed to collect through a lot of searching. You find the same things in the Museum of Delhi that are as old as 3,000 years old from Harappa. And this is very interesting. So this industry could be 3,000 years old. So you're essentially drinking a 450, because I know it's 450, you're going to drink a 450-year-old spirit made in the exact same way. Now that is complicated. Palates change. You're going to be drinking, today's food that you eat, today, everyone comes, it's more processed, it's sweeter compared to what your grandparents ate, which is more bitter, more fibrous, very different. Palates change. You can't go and serve somebody 300-year-old food and say, let's try it out. You can do that with Feni. Today people are going back and picking up grains from Harappa and trying to make bread, or bring grains from Egypt to make bread, because they want to see what did those ancestors, what did those people eat. Here, you're able to see the process in entirety, from picking the fruit to the distillation process to using wild yeast for fermentation to finally drinking it. That's the big challenge, because this by no means is a modern spirit. It is an ancient spirit, still following the time tradition, time-honored way. And so what actually happens is, if you give the spirit to anybody and say, please drink this, he's going to drink it. It's like you're used to driving an automatic car, and suddenly I give you a nice vintage Cadillac. Cadillac is a good car. Nice plush leather seats, but it will not have ACs. It will not have power steering. It might not have gears that move very smoothly. But there's beauty and charm about that spirit. And that's exactly what it is. These are the vintage Cadillac cars. Everyone's used to driving. Everyone's used to drinking modern spirits which are polished, smooth. And so what happens is, you need to give context. And that's what we've been creating, educating for the last 1 year. We call it advocacy. Yes, this is a beautiful setting where we do our tastings, but it's the brand advocacy, because that's one thing that Feni and Indians as a culture do not do very well. We don't educate our consumers about what we eat or what we drink. So if a curry is spicy, if a foreigner comes, we'll tame it down to make it palatable for them. We don't serve them a spicy food. But you go to Germany and you ask for a steak, he's not going to make it well done and put chili powder because you're an Indian. He's going to serve it the way he does it. But he'll educate you about what it is. And that's what we have with Feni. Now, one big thing what I also observed, most of the world's most expensive foods are polarizing. Blue cheese, caviar, smoked salmon, all these kind of things are very polarizing. You like it or don't like it. Every culture has taken trouble to explain it and serve it in its original form. That's what we need to do. We need to do that, number one, advocacy. And the second thing is positioning. Where do you want to position it? Do you want to sell it as a cheap drink? Do you want to sell it as a souvenir drink? Do you want to sell it as a sipping drink? Do you want to serve it as an exotic drink? Is it going to be a tequila, like a vodka, like a gin? You got to figure out where you want to do that. And so it's a lot of plotting. The best part is the canvas is empty. It's up for us to do it.
Yeah. But Hansel, for example, somebody in Delhi or somebody in Kolkata would have loved to walk into their wine store and pick up a Cazulo Feni, but they are not able to do that. So that's what I want you to answer. So, where is the gap?
So there's an interesting question, because this comes in many gaps. The first thing you realize is, the first obvious thing which I thought was regulation. For example, you want to enter Maharashtra, you got to pay a 20 lakh K form. And then you go to sell your product. Now this, obviously, when you realize you're paying 20 lakh rupees to just to enter, they get a license to enter, then label registration fees, then you have to give your commissions to all your shopkeepers, spend on marketing, spend on a salesman. You're going out of pocket maybe 50 lakhs before you even start the business. And then you have to sell one bottle to recover that money. And one bottle costs 1,000 rupees. So imagine that. You're 50 lakhs behind to make 1,000 rupees. Does it make sense? Essentially, the game is not made for artisanal producers like us. It's made for the big guys. We are not big guys by any stretch of imagination. That's the first part. But let's assume I've got 50 lakhs to burn. I'm a rich guy. I've got some investment from somebody. Some Shark Tank guy has given me money. I'm going to invest. Does it make sense? It does not make sense. You know why? Not because of money. It's, do we have enough Feni to supply the rest of India? You know how big India is? 2 billion or 1 billion, I don't know how many billions we are. People there drinking it with a lot of disposable income. I always give this example. There's a guy in Borivali station who's making Fanta noodles, and it sells. He's making money off it. So India has a niche for everybody. Everyone's going to consume. Feni will sell, but do we have enough good quality Feni to sell it, or are we going to just send passing quality Feni to someone else, or are we going to dilute the quality of Feni and sell it? Cazulo stands for none of those. And so, the first thing, before you even think of going abroad anywhere, is first build your infrastructure, to increase production. Build your distilleries, augment, plant more trees. So Cazulo has been planting for the last 3 years 1,000 trees every year. This year at the Cashew Festival, we're going to be giving away 3,000 trees. I want more distillers to do that, because we are going to need 1 million trees before we actually start making cashew Feni for the world. Coconut Feni has solved the problem because we got a few billion trees in Goa, but cashew Feni needs that, and that's the first step. So you need to plant cashew trees first. Then you need to figure out where you're going to position it. Is Feni going to be sold as a whiskey, a gin, a vodka, tequila? What pricing is going to be in each state? And that's very key, because pricing is what's going to determine whether consumer is going to buy it or no. And then you need to have a drinks program. Whether your guys who are going to you're going to serve it to someone and say, for example, you're going to sell it in Chandigarh. How is a Punjabi going to drink Feni? Does he drink this with a dukshiri? Is he going to drink with soda, with limca, with ginger ale, or is he going to drink in ice? He knows nothing. There's no context to it. It's a completely alien spirit for him. Advocacy needs to be done there.
Yeah.
You need to and you need to train the bartenders. You need to give confidence to the shopkeepers to sell it. You need to give confidence to the bar owners to stock it. Lots of work. And then finally, then you will invest in regulation. And then you will say, okay, no, I'll pay my 50 lakhs and then enter. And so what happens is there are a lot of steps in between. For all that, the easiest place is in Goa.
Yeah.
So right now everyone comes to Goa, and for us what we've realized, let's build it up here. And we're not looking at Goa only. We're looking at around the world.
Yeah. When you say around the world, I'm aware that you took Cazulo to Canada, to Japan, even to the USA. What's been the experience?
So Canada was very interesting. We sold, there was Canada has a lot of Goan diaspora.
Yeah.
Unlike London, where a lot of diaspora comes down to Goa, Canadians don't come as often.
Yeah.
So they wanted Feni there. So we took Feni there. The average price of Feni back then, this is in 2016, was $25. They priced us at $40. And then they said, you know what, if you don't sell it quickly, we're going to take, you'll have to pay us for stocking the product. And I was freaked out. We sold out. We sold. I was very happy. They placed a reorder. Same product, same price. It was $40 a case. I'll be honest, it was $40. I was not making any money. They were making $40 a case. They were selling it for $40 a bottle. They reordered the same thing, $40 a case, but priced it at $60, $59 a bottle. I was like, whoa, what the hell is happening? $60? Same clause exists. If it doesn't sell, I'll have to pay them. I'm freaking out in Goa. So I asked them, what are you guys doing? They refused to answer. They refused to say, this is our prerogative, pricing is our prerogative, we'll do what we want. I was like, okay, sold out. But 10 days before selling out, what they did was, it was just before Christmas. They said, if you want to buy a Cazulo, you cannot buy one bottle for $60. You have to buy 6 bottles. So about $350 just to buy a Cazulo. I was freaking out. I spoke to everyone I found out, and I found out something very interesting. Biggest learning. This is the first time any country, any market tried something what technically would call brand elasticity. If Feni is going for the first time into a market, what do you price it? At $25, they said it sells. $40 it sells. $60 it sells. It sells at $360. And that gives us a window to understand what are we actually pricing Feni. Are we underpricing it? Are we right pricing it? Are we wrong pricing it? That is a big question we have to ask. Wonderful. If this product is handcrafted,
wonderful,
it has to be given the right price.
Wonderful, wonderful.
We've got a disproportionate amount of interest from Japan.
Yeah.
And that's something which is kind of very startling. One bartender, Hiroyashi Kayama, was the first guy to actually adopt it. But before that, there was a girl called Miho Ota, a journalist who came down, and she fell in love with Feni. I think she's been the biggest evangelizer in Japan, and she's got the biggest bartenders to follow it. And now we've had Shuzo Nagumo came about 2 weeks ago. He's like the whiz kid in Japan. He's like one of those great founding fathers of the bar industry in Japan. So he's one of the guys who brought technology into the bar industry. Great guy. He came 2 weeks ago. Was flying to Delhi, but he said, if I'm flying to Delhi, I'm flying to Goa. Spend 2 days with me. We've had a small bar in Matsuyama. His invention, he's madly in love with biryani and Vindaloo. And so he made a Vindaloo-based Feni cocktail. I don't know how that tastes, but apparently it's a rage in Japan, in Matsuyama. If you ever go to Matsuyama, there's a bar called Le Club. And of course, you go to Bar Benfitic in Japan, the best bar, #1 bar in Japan, Cazulo is served there. He's coming down this month, He picks up a whole lot of Feni and serves it only to very special people. And that's where Feni is. That is positioning. You're not in the second bar, third bar, or the low rung bars. You're in the number
top
one
bar.
bar in Japan, in Tokyo.
Wow.
That's what we need to do with Feni.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much, Hansel. Thank you.
Pleasure.
All the best. So Hansel, this lovely water body and this setting for tourists to come and or guests to come and sample your Feni and go on food. How did you think of this idea in the first place?
I mean, how often can you taste Feni in a distillery in a beautiful alfresco setting like this under a coconut tree with your feet dipped in water? It's just something different. With Feni, we always have to work a little harder because it's an unconventional spirit. And so we said, let's create the most unconventional tasting. We take you out of your realm. You're sitting in water. Fish are, if you look down.
Yeah, I know. They were there were fish at my
fish
toes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Toes. You got a nice, beautiful gravel under your feet.
Yeah.
So it's very different. Plus, it's water. It keeps you cool. This makes it very interesting. When you're not in your realm, then you're more accustomed to listening better. And so what I do is I take you out of your realm, and then you tend to listen to me when I tell you the story of what Feni tastes like and how it pairs well with food. So we do a food pairing out here every day. We do 2 sessions every day, and people come. But it's just beautiful, and also more importantly, it's cool. In a tropical climate like this, I would have had to put an AC to keep you cool and
We didn't need any of that.
You don't need anything. So it's nice.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. I also remember the Sanjao party. I know Sanjao party in this pond. Huh?
You see the garafa inside.
One second. So you let me. Friends watching this video, Hansel just showed me now. Can you see this? 1 second. Let me show that garafa. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it. Right there in the center of this video, the screen is a garafa, meaning a glass crucible with the cashew Feni in it.
Yeah, so we're aging Feni underwater. This looks shallow, but it's actually about 10 feet deep. We are resting Feni. Technically, we are resting Feni underwater. And this is hydrostatic pressure, diffuse light, no sound, no movement. And a tropical climate like this, a very stable temperature. This makes Feni better. One of the old ways of making Feni better, and that's what we've tried to revive.
So a whole lot of Cazulo goes down into the water like this?
We're going to be launching a new brand, maybe in 2027. The market is not ready for that level of flavor right now.
Okay.
2027 we'll be launching that.
Wow.
So it'll be a different level of Cazulo, slightly elevated.
Yeah.
But right now, Cazulo quality Feni goes inside.
Wow. What a setting. Viva, salud.